I have to mention that I started in the beginning with an idea of creating something like a LinkedIn for Africa, which is something we scrapped by now because we noticed that this is not something that can be feasible in the future.
This is essentially a very complex topic. That's why we don't have a standard program. So we have a whatever it takes approach. So that means that basically every startup brings something to the table. So sometimes the founders are very experienced. It's not the first time founder, maybe second time founder. Sometimes they are from university, have no job experience. So what we do in the beginning is to see what do they bring to the table already. Imagine you're climbing to a mountain, so you have to prepare this mountain trip, and so you have to prepare a backpack, and maybe there's a map, and sometimes there's a compass, and then some food, and so on. Yeah? So in a metaphorical way. So we're looking in this backpack, what have you in your bag, and what we think is necessary to get to the mountaintop. And that can be very, very different. Sometimes it's a focus on sales. Well, that's probably most of the cases. Yeah? Typically, a founder is very solution-oriented, also very customer-centric, but there's a gap from solution getting it to the customers, and so we're working on sales. But also, when they start growing, there's so much hassle to grow an organization. In the beginning, you're all friends. It's like 3 founders, and then you start hiring people, or you have some voluntaries, and they join your team, and then all of a sudden you have 25 voluntaries around you that want to help you and support you without get paid. But sometimes they're there and sometimes not. So this requires some leadership, coordination and leadership. So we're helping there as well. And one topic that I personally find very much challenging all the time is not the market out there, is not the organization as an abstract topic. It's very often what the founders are willing to do and they dare to do. There's very often some belief limitations. Sometimes there's lack of courage. Typically, you find a lot of imposter syndrome. That is, the founders think that I don't know anything, and hopefully nobody will detect. But of course, they know a lot. So it's getting the emotional part of it to the table and getting also the hard facts around building a company. And it's like a big puzzle. So we put all the pieces on the table, and then it's always, when we meet, it's rearranging, looking what is stable, have we found pieces that match together. In order to get from startup to grown-up, you need to have a roadmap that is flexible and that can be easily adopted to the real life. So it takes the courage to change. It takes the courage also to say no to a lot of options, so to focus, to laser focus. And it has the need of a clear impact model where you constantly evaluate your assumptions and you constantly adopt to the reality.
For us, I would rather describe it as proving our growth hypothesis, proving our hypothesis whether we are on the right track with what we are trying to achieve. And we were trying to achieve connecting the job seekers more quickly with the companies, right? I have to mention that I started in the beginning with an idea of creating something like a LinkedIn for Africa, which is something we scrapped by now because we noticed that this is not something that can be feasible in the future because, many African job seekers at this stage, they are looking for jobs very, it's the most highest priority at the moment for job seekers to really find a job, not the selling proposition of a LinkedIn to do professional networking. That's not so important, but it may become important at some point, right? But not right now. And that was probably one of our I would call it, maybe mistakes. And we did a pivot. And the idea is really now to have a so-called software as a service recruiting tool for informal markets. And asking about the scaling portion of that, we have already received requests from companies in Indonesia, from companies in the Middle East. And what we believe makes sense, again, coming back to the using your available resources most efficiently in the beginning, our testing scenario or proof of concept for now are a few African countries. And once we see the business model works in these countries, we will further entry other markets, like, for example, Indonesia.